what do you think is the most important things from a AI, leaning in on those types of things that people have got to be paying attention to right now from a real estate side? What do you think is the most important things?
Well, obviously, if you're going into AI to figure out what the recipe is for tonight, go way deeper than that. Start do voice to voice, start having conversations, start working through, I'm struggling with this in my business. Right? I went to AI a couple of years ago and I said, hey, you're my market research person. And here's what I'm seeing in the market right now. Where are the opportunities that most people wouldn't see? And we started having this conversation. I found something where it was like, wow, it was a monumental opportunity. Nobody was tackling it. And so we started talking about that in our offices. So it's crazy. Since the first of the year, AI has moved so fast since the first of the year.
And we're talking about this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like literally and not to totally geek out on you, there's this thing called 𝐿 that came out. And that changed the whole landscape. And there was a little duking it out between OpenAI and Claude over this. So now Claude's throwing stuff out, Perplexity's throwing stuff out. Like, it's moving fast. For example, we put out this document that is kind of a choose your own adventure of all the things you could do under Keller Williams. It was a document. I put that document into Perplexity Computer. I said, hey, I'd like to take this document and make it an interactive web app. And I hit enter. I went back to the Zoom call that gave me that document. 10 minutes, 37 seconds later, I had a full website, clickable. Said, don't know what's important to you? Take our quiz. I gave it nothing, and it built it out. So like the opportunity of where AI is going, it's limited by your imagination on what you can build. Mm-hmm. The stuff that Jesse built 2 years ago would have taken you way longer, cost you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to build. And now he's sitting here building out prototypes outside of his work hours because he's passionate about it. Like I built out 3 websites while I was sleeping in Perplexity Computer. And it cost me 30 minutes and $200. So where I guess with all of that is just to kind of paint a bigger picture of where things are going. And if I don't jump in on the foundational stuff today, this thing is moving so fast, you're going to be left behind.
So Patrick, we were talking a little bit about some of these things that you've been doing and that you think are really important for someone that in real estate, they have to be doing these things. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Perplexity, which is, and you had talked about 𝐿. Mm-hmm. So Perplexity, you had mentioned that you had written a website with, you just told it what you want to do and boom, it was. Yeah.
I gave it a basic prompt. Like prompting is so important. And then this, it's like, I literally vomited out of my mouth 3 sentences that made, I think, okay sense. And one of them is, I want to know when all my agent's licenses expire and I want it to be a web-based app. And it goes in, and this is a Perplexity Computer. It went and started thinking about it, pulling different models. So it wasn't just Perplexity, it was pulling Opus, Sonnet, whatever. It went to it found the Department of Real Estate website and figured out, how do I get this? I didn't have to say, here's the Department of Real Estate website, all that stuff. It just figured it out and then gave me probably 85% done web app to do what I want to do. So it's crazy what's happening out there. And that's where you start thinking about like what we talked about with his value prop or the affordability conversation. Imagine having a calculator on every agent's website that says, if you didn't buy today, and we had the appreciation we've had over the last 30 years, this is the opportunity you might be missing out on. And here's how much money you'd have to put into the S&P 500 to make up for that loss. Yep. Just as when I bought my first home, I wasn't thinking like that. I was just excited to have a home, right? But I think where the world is going, we need to have those conversations. And how are we doing this? And if now I can go, this is a great conversation to have. What could I build with AI to facilitate that in a way that's simple and understandable? So, because I'll geek out on this, and then I know other people on the other side of the table, they'll just glaze over and I'll lose them. So how do I simplify that information in an interactive way? And that's where like web-based apps and all that kind of stuff come in.
See, and this is where you and I've connected just thought process wise so much in our conversations. My philosophical evolution has been one that like I've made every mistake, failed in every way over 2 decades of trying to build and lead mortgage originators and companies, right? with trying to get mass adoption of all these tools, right? And of course, the technology is so much different now than it was then. But I mean, CRMs and all the different things that have been installed, and the number of times in real estate and mortgage where people have been asked or forced on, company-wide scales, hey, adopt this new tool, learn it, and then go in and learn it, and then it never adds any value to their business, and then they're not techie people to begin with, and they just wasted all this time and energy. And then you got the number of people whose CRM, the maximum that they've ever used a CRM for is for happy birthday and a check-in. And
emails they set up when it first launched.
And then it's like the company changed CRMs 6 times to try to change it. And in the end, the outcome was still the same output.
It's only going to work if they use it, right?
And so my brain really shifted over the last couple of years of stop trying to get adoption and start figuring out how to do it for people. Start just being able to do it for them, and then let them focus on the thing that they actually want to do and are wired to do well. There are so many professions, especially in sales, where you're asked to be so many things to be successful, right? Like if you're a plumber, you have to know plumbing very, very well. But if you run a plumbing business, you have to learn, then someone has to build the company, market, sell, like all these other things. If you're just a plumber and all you want to do is work on plumbing, all that other stuff drives you crazy, but you're a really good plumber. And I think the way human beings work, I think the opportunity that AI to me has presented is a chance to create things that allow us to do for people the things that they
100%.
will struggle with.